Hello everybody and welcome to Sampling and the Normal Distribution, Lesson 2. Today's lesson we're going to be looking at comparing samples and populations. Okay, so our goal in this section is to know and understand how to show that the mean of the distribution of all possible sample means is equal to the population mean. Okay, this symbol here is called mu. And also to recognize that a sample can be used to provide an estimate for a particular population characteristic. And that's kind of the reason why we do sampling. Okay, so the first thing we want to think about is how can we actually estimate the statistics of the population? Well, the way we do that is we look at the statistics of a sample. Okay, so that is we look at the statistics of a sample. Okay, the second thing that is important is to think about what the population mean is and its symbol. So there's a bit of notation here. So the population mean is the mean of the whole data set. Okay, so population mean is the mean, and we represent that by we represent the mean of the whole data set by mu. Okay, and mu looks like this. It's pronounced Mew, like the Pokemon. I know, right? How cool is Pokemon? And basically it's literally the whole population, so it's the mean of the entire data set. The sample mean, however, is just the mean of a sample or a portion, so the mean of a portion or a part of the population. So obviously you wouldn't be taking every single score, but just a sample. And the sample mean is X bar. So that means sample mean. So that's one we're kind of used to finding. And then you also need to know about how to work out the mean of the sample means. So the mean of the sample means, we call that mu X bar. Okay, so there's a couple of different things you need to know. You need to know mu, which is the mean of the whole population, sample mean, which is X bar, and mean of the sample means is mu X bar. Okay, so that's kind of some notation that you need to know there. Fantastic. Okay, so let's have a look at an example. These take quite a while to do, so we're just going to look at one example together and we'll see how we go. Alright, so first up, population. So they're telling us this is the whole data set, is 0, 3, 6, 9, 11. So there are 5 scores there. Okay. Part A is to find the mean, mu, of the population. So for part A, I'm going to write down that mu, just kind of like a curly M, is going to be the mean of those 5 numbers. So I'm going to do 0 plus 3 plus 6 plus 9 plus 11 and divide by 5 numbers, sorry. And when you type that in your calculator, you get 5.8. So this is the mean of the whole population. Okay. The second part of the question says, list all the possible samples of varying sizes, n equals 1 to n equals 5, from the population. So the first bit of this is really easy. So n equals 1 just means write down the number of possibilities where you've got one thing in the score. So literally it's just going to be exactly what's there. So we're going to write, for that one, we're going to write 0, 3, 6, 9, 11. So that's where the score the number of scores is always 1. For n equals 2 then, that's saying what are all the possible combinations you could make with two things. So for example, you could have 0, 3, 0, 6, 0, 9, 0, 11, and then you can go on, okay? So you would have 3, 6, 3, 9, 3, 11, okay? Now, it's an unordered selection, so the order doesn't matter, so we don't then write 3, 0, 6, 0, because it's the same, okay? So that's important to think about. Then we need to do the same thing, but this time for n is equal to 3. So this time we're going to have like 0, 3, 6, 0, 3, 9, 0, 3, 11, and you keep going in that fashion. So you'll then have 0, 6, 9, 0, 6, 11, 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 11, and then 6, 9, 11. Okay, so you write down all the possible combinations with 3. Then you're going to write down all the possible combinations with 4. So for n equals 4, you're going to do 0, 3, 6, 9, then you're going to do 0, 6, 9, 11. So you just got to systematically go through and write them all down. Then you got 0, 3, 9, 11, 3, 6, 9, 11, and that's pretty much it for that. And then for n is 5, which I'm going to write up here because I've run out of room, there's only one possibility, and it's just what's there, 0, 3, 6, 9, 11, because the order doesn't matter. Cool, so that's what it means when it says list all the possible samples. Okay, then it says find the means of all the samples that have been listed. So this time I want to work out the means of all the samples. So those are all the samples that have been listed there. Okay, so you have to go through and work out all of those means. So it's pretty intense in terms of working them all out, but not too difficult. Okay, so you're going to go now and work out, well, the first one you've already done, so now you're going to do that of the second one. Okay, so you're going to write down, for instance, when n is equal to 2, what would you have? Okay, so when n is 1, the mean is above, it's 5.8. So we'll start from when n is 2. So when n is 2, you would have, so we're going to write it like this, and I'm going to have to write down here because I've run out of room. So this is part C. Oops. When n is 2, so when n is 2, I'm looking at all these ones here. Okay, and I'm going to find the mean of all those. So I'm going to write down for n is 2, I have to do 0 plus 3 and halve it, so that's 1.5. Then half of 6, then half of 9, so I'm finding the average of those two numbers. That's a 4, by the way, 4.5. Then half of 11, so 5.5. Then half of 9 again, so 4.5. It's okay to write it down twice. Then 6, because 3 and 9 is 12, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. Then 14 divided by 2, which is 7. Okay, so those are the sample means of that one. For n is 3, I have to do the same thing. So I'm looking at all these possible combinations here, and I'm going to find the averages of all those. Okay, so on n is 3, you want to write that here. Oopsie. Come on, Mr. Pen. Alright, so for n is 3, I've written that down, and I'm going to go 0 plus 3 plus 6 divided by 3. So that first one's going to be 3. Then the next one is going to be 4, because it's 12 divided by 3, which is 4. Then 14 divided by 3, which is going to be a decimal, but I'm just going to write it like that. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 17 divided by 3 for the next one. Again, writing as a fraction. 12 and 9 is 21, so 21 on 3 for the next one. Then I've got 17, 20 on 3. Then I've got 15, 25, 26 on 3. Okay, so those are all the sample means for 3. Okie dokie, so you guys are going to work out the sample means for 4, and the sample means for 5 are just themselves because they're only single digits. So for part D, it says find the mean of the sample means. And I'll get you guys to do that, but what you have to do is, it's not too hard, you have to add all of the sample means together, so all of the sample means together, and divide by the total. Number of means. Now you should get, and that's mu x bar, so that's the means of all the sample means together. You should get 5.1386 repeater. That's what I got, so check that you can get that. And for part E, it says, how does the mean of the sample means, compare to the mean of the population? Okay, so the question is, how does this mean here compare to the mean of the population? Now, the mean of the population that we worked out in A earlier was 5.8. Okay, so the question is, how do these two things compare? How do they compare? Well, if I compare them, I can see that they're quite similar. So I'm actually going to write they are quite similar, because they're both in the vicinity of 5, aren't they? But the mean of the sample means is slightly lower. And in this case, it's about 0.7 lower. Okay? Fantastic. So that's kind of what you need to do in this section when we're comparing samples and populations. You need to know the difference on how to work out mean of population, mean of a sample, mean of all the sample means, and how each of them compare. So please make sure that you write down a summary of what we went through, new things or things you revised, and write down any questions that you'd like to ask me when we get back to class. And finally, don't forget to complete exercise 1102, depending on what level you choose. Please make sure you show working like I have, and that you mark it as well. Bye-bye now.